Okay. Which class is on right now?
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Federal Records and Park District this Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6:30.
Thank you. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, I'd like to welcome to the podium Carol Rose from the Junior Tennis Fund of Sacramento.
Good evening. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anita, were you going to do your introduction now, or did you want to do it at the presentation item? Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to roll call.
We received advance notification that Director Mattis might be joining us a little late this evening. Director Langen,
Here.
Secretary Sloan,
Here.
Vice Chair Danzel,
Here.
and Chair Yearwood.
Here. All right, item E, comments by the public on non-agenda items.
Thank you. Members of the public may address the board on district topics not listed on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. It's a violation of state law for the board to discuss or take action on non-agenda items. Board members may only briefly ask clarifying questions or refer the matter to staff. And I have no requests.
All right, seeing no requests, we'll move on to C, the consent calendar.
Thank you. Consent calendar items are considered administratively routine and will be acted upon in one motion unless separate action on a specific item is necessary. The chairperson will consider any requests for discussion on the items prior to approval of the consent calendar. This evening, we have 2 items for your consideration, and Chair Yearwood, I would like to pull item C1 for a separate vote, please.
I can understand that. All right, any discussion or anything on item D2?
No requests.
All right, anybody care to make a motion?
Sure, I would like to make a motion, we accept item C2 in the consent calendar. Second.
Thank you. All right, motion by Vice Chair Danzel, seconded by Director Langen. Roll call vote.
Oh. We'll give just a moment. Director Mattis just arrived. So for item C2, Director Mattis,
Aye.
Director Langen.
Aye.
Secretary Sloan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Danzel,
Aye.
and Chair Yearwood.
Aye. Anybody care to make a motion for C1? Or do you need to explain why you're?
This item was pulled due to the absence of Chair Yearwood at our last board meeting.
All right. Would like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept item C1 on the calendar.
I'll second that motion. Motion by Vice Chair Danzel, second by Secretary Sloan. Roll call vote.
Director Mattis,
Aye.
Director Langen,
Aye.
Secretary Sloan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Danzel,
Aye.
Chair Yearwood.
Abstain.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to D, presentations.
Thank you. Item D1 is a presentation of a $1,500 grant award from the Junior Tennis Fund Sacramento. And I'd like to invite to the podium Recreation Supervisor 2, Nina Seiner, to do the introduction.
Yearwood and members of the board, I have the pleasure to be here tonight to introduce Carol Rose, founding member of the Junior Tennis Fund of Sacramento, and Coach KJ. KJ is one of our new contract instructors, and he's going to be teaching a class that is funded by this grant. So we're really excited to have both of you here tonight. We're thankful to the Junior Tennis Fund of Sacramento for granting us this grant, if you will, for the past 3 years. So it's a great it really adds to our program and allows us to offer that at a really inexpensive cost, and every player walks away with the tickets.
Okay, Junior Tennis Fund Sacramento was started almost 10 years ago, 2014. And our first focus was something like this: we gave grants to recreation and park districts. And that's been very successful. We have quite a few programs going throughout the area. We go into Yale County, Boston County, obviously Sacramento, a little bit in El Dorado. And then we've added another program, which is helping out the high schools. And we give grants to them, one-time grants of $1,000, which is a lot of money to them, because they don't usually give any funding at all to the school. It's just whatever they can get together from the parents. And that one has been a really good program too. So we're really happy that we have this connection with you, and also with KJ. He's my coach, so I'm really a good player. Not making choices. So at any rate. And we. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your support.
Don't blow the wire.
Yeah, with the wires. Don't trip over the wire.
The wire. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I think I saw you last year.
You probably did.
Yeah.
I've been around.
Yeah, there you go. So,
What?
there you go.
What you doing?
Squeeze in a little bit.
Squeeze and make a friend, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
All right.
Got everyone?
Yep. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna take one on the phone as well.
Cap is on the lens up there.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, Nina, make sure I get a copy of one of those.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You don't get.
I know, I don't want to.
Just gonna cash it.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. All right. Like we move on to E, committee reports.
Thank you. Item E1 is a standing committee report for budget and finance on March 6th, and that's Chair Yearwood and Vice Chair Dancel.
Would you care to go first?
I would not, but I will.
Okay. Thank you.
On March 6th, Chair Drew and myself went, met with staff to go over budget. Things are looking quite well, actually. For the weather this year, things like that. Mr. Goodell has done a great job of planning things out and being very conservative in his budgets every year, which greatly helps us get to where we need to be. I do appreciate that. Over the time I've been here, I've watched it go from 1,000-page budget of, every nut and bolt, literally, and then it changed into a very, very sleek document that explains what needs to happen. I know Mr. Goodell also has that list of nuts and bolts if I needed it, but so far he does not use it. It was I wouldn't say a quick meeting, I wouldn't say it was a long meeting, but the questions that were needed to be answered were answered that day, and we're right on track. There's some things that we will be looking at over the next couple of months, but other than that, it was a very well informed meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I do have to admit, the first meeting I ever came to, they had that nuts and bolts report in there, and I was like, what is this? Why do I care that they bought 3-inch long screws from Walker Hardware or something like that? It was quite interesting. It's fascinating. If you ever needed something, you have to go. sleep. This being my first presentation that our CFO, Adele, put together for us, and kind of showed us where everything was at. I liked the section that kind of showed us where, for lack of a better word, where all of our pots of money were and how they were doing, and kind of showed us where we were doing well and maybe somewhere else, some others we needed to, we might need to work on those a little bit. Also liked to see that our numbers for, our, where we get our money from basically is trending up, As I wrote down here from basically 2021, we were at 4.9, was property taxes, in 2023-24, we're projecting 5.9 million, so that's a million increase over just a couple of years. So it's a testament to all the houses that are being built, I'm sure. So, but it was very helpful to me because I've never been to one of these meetings before. You see all this stuff, but it's nice to see, it kind of presented and things like that. So one other thing I wanted to bring up, of course, I'm trying to read through my chicken scratch notes here. The one report that showed, I appreciate previous years, so you can kind of see the history and where we're going, what we're paying, what we're paying for something in 1 year, or how it kind of progresses, but you see all the numbers and how it plays out. So it was a very good meeting and very helpful insight. So that is all I have. So move to E2.
Thank you. Item E2 is the standing committee report for district policies on March 14th. And that is Secretary Sloan and Director Langen.
Okay, here we go. Who's gonna go first?
I'm gonna go first.
Oh,
It was it's a lot of items. These are things, a lot of things to remember. We have these committees. So, I wanted to, start off, first of all, the first item on our agenda was talking about, the SB 1439, which, and all the directors should have gotten a copy from our legal counsel for that. So that basically was, we went over that one. Next one, in the policy, they've added something to the ad hoc committees agendizing appointments. So, and they added 2 sentences saying that, basically saying that it will be agendized whenever possible. It will be agendized item, if deemed necessary. Okay, and then the next one, we talked about. Since we've gone to district-wide as opposed to at large, we have more of a focus on certain areas of each one of us responsibility to a closer knit part, not the whole in general, that everything, but we sort of have this specialty like our family part. We have to acclimate ourselves with them and get to know them and show them that we're here for them. So with that, I noticed that there's a 3 of us. I know we go to some of the association meetings. I go to Brecca, Danny goes to Rosemont Association, Mark goes to the Gold River Association, and representing the district. So we thought that we would like to have a discussion and add to the policy that board members would get compensated for that meeting. When we do go to one of these HOAs and represent the district and report out only. But if you go to one, then there's nothing to report out. Like, you don't have to put that on your board report. But basically what we're doing is we're taking what we hear at these meetings and bringing them if it's important and then to be done. Guys, that was it. Yeah, that was that one. And then the next one was on I guess there's we're trying to get certified at transparency certificates for best practices through that CSDA. And in order to get that, we have to have certain boxes checked. And I guess one of the new boxes has to do with compensation for meals. Claims for, you know, but right now we get a breakfast, we get a lunch, and we get a dinner. But we don't, we don't get it unless we eat breakfast. Now they're talking about giving us one sum for the day, per meal. And if you don't use it for lunch, you don't use it. At some of the conferences, you get lunches included. You might just use it for dinner, so there wouldn't be just a cap on it at $34. You could go over. And there's also a 20% tip is part of that thing that you can add to be reimbursed for. And I think what they're going to do on the expense reports that Matt's going to itemize them out, separate the staff for it. On that for those to make it more transparent. So that was my portion.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was great being in that meeting, just learning more about policies and different things and how stuff works better. So first thing was that there were proposed policy amendments, and these are new laws. These are all new laws. And so the first one about allowances. And so we are moving an unwritten policy pertaining to driving cell phone allowances into the policy. This is something that basically already exists. So we just wanted to make it official, like we did in the handbook or in the policy. And then CRPD leave, which is California Family Rights Act. This change in policy broadens the definition of family members under the California Family Rights Act. And then the bereavement leave, changing full-time employees 3 days of paid bereavement leave to the use of 5 days of leave with 3 days or 24 hours of the 5 days being paid as well. And then the reproductive health decisions making, it's basically a new protected class. So during the harassment, discrimination trainings, reproductive health decision making will be protected, a protected class under section Senate Bill 523. This term will be added under 1.3, the equal employment practices of the policy, 8.2 workplace harassment definition, and 13 definition of terms discriminations defined. And last, we discussed a little bit of the holiday of Juneteenth, and we have decided to benchmark it until next year. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question. The one about compensation for HOA, is that something that has to be kind of all things to be written about that now, or do we need to have a future meeting to discuss that? How do you want to do that?
Yeah, so currently we do have a policy and it was excluding the eligibility to be compensated for those types of meetings. So Director Sloan brought it as a topic for discussion in recommending that we relook at that and recommend to the board that that be considered with the parameters of it being appointed by the chair, what those exact neighborhood associations would be, if that's what the direction you would like to go in. And then those restrictions would be limited to the district to which you're representing.
Okay, so something to be crafted when it comes to the future.
Yes, the actual language associated with those amendments and recommendations will come to the April board meeting. And at that time, more discussion will be had on all of the actual proposed policies. So this is just, in essence, reporting out on that committee, but the actual presentation of the amended policies will come in April, since we just met yesterday. And the agenda had already been posted. It was virtually impossible for us to have that discussion tonight, so.
And it doesn't say that, like, I couldn't go to the, Anatolia, said they had a meeting up there. I just wouldn't be compensated. You would, that's your district. But, I mean, we're still open to go to, I could go to Gold River meeting and say hello and see what that's like, but I wouldn't get compensated.
So in maybe answering your question a little clearer is that this committee is created to, work with staff to come up with policies or amendments to policies. And then the full discussion of the entire board will be had once those are fully presented from recommendations from the committee.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Everybody good? We'll move on to F, public hearings. Seeing none there. We'll move on to G, the regular calendar.
Thank you. Just a quick tech note. I had a request from the public. If the board members could please speak directly into their microphones, it helps our audience hear better. Thank you. Item G1 is to authorize the general manager to execute a one-year land lease agreement extension with current tenant Donut Construction for the property located at 9405 Jackson Road, APN 036-0020-010, and I'll turn it over to CFO Goodell.
All right, good evening, Chair Bueller, board members. And so this is an ongoing lease that we have. It's been going on since 2017 with Donut Construction. It's the property on Jackson Road adjacent to the golf course parking lot, about 2 acres. And they approached us needing a temporary space to house equipment and vehicles while they're doing projects and stuff on that corridor. And so it's an opportunity for us to have some extra general fund revenue. And it'll be about $33,000 this year, and it'll be a term of 12 months starting in March 31st, April 1st to March 31st of 2024. So it's just extending their lease. That's my report.
All right, thank you. Did you have any requests for public comment?
I see no requests.
Any board members? Would care to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the authorization of the general manager to execute the one-year land lease agreement extension in the current tenant Donut Construction for the property located at 9405 Jackson Road.
Thank you. Motion by Director Mattis. Seconded. Second by Vice Chair Danzel. Roll call vote.
Director Mattis,
Aye.
Director Langen,
Aye.
Secretary Sloan, Vice Chair Danzel,
Aye.
and Chair Yearwood.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to G2.
Thank you. Item G2 is to discuss and take action on proposal to change the Board of Directors' regular meeting date. This is per a request from Director Langen at the February 15 Board of Directors meeting. And just very quickly, board policies state currently that our regular meetings are held on the third Wednesday of each month at 6:30. So any change to the board meeting schedule will also require an amendment to the board policies at a future meeting. And I'll turn it over to Director Langen.
So one of my biggest things is right now with my job, I work every Wednesday evening. And so it is becoming harder to be here every Wednesday. I am working on it, making sure stuff's covered and stuff like that. And so for me, it's just it would make it a lot easier. I know that we all have things throughout, so I'm also, to be honest, of the belief that if you don't ask and have a discussion, then you're never going to know. And so I thought I'd throw it out there, and if it can work, great. If it can't, then I have another idea. But yeah. So.
All right. Well, do we have to ask if there's any public hearing?
I did not see any request for public comment on this item.
Director Max? Comments?
Yeah, I'm open to it. It's just the fourth Thursday of every month isn't good for me.
Real quick, I assume I should probably say like what days would be great for me. Really, Wednesdays and Mondays are not great. When I did talk to our general manager, Patrick, he did say that Mondays wouldn't work anyways. Tuesday, Thursday. I really don't want to do Friday, and I'm sure no one else does, but I would be willing to do that, so.
Secretary Sloan?
Yeah, this is a tough one because our meetings are well, we've been doing it for many years. I don't know how far it goes back, what's happening in the community? There's a lot of other meetings during the week. We've got things on city council on Mondays. We've got school district on Thursdays, and us on Wednesdays. So, and besides that, I've got most of the HOAs and the other associations, including the Rancho Cordova Athletic Association, are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's tough. It's a tough thing to do, and I mean, I understand the dilemma that you're having, with that. It's that date was there when you decided to take this position, and so I don't, I don't know how it's going to work for us to find an alternative.
Chair Danzel?
I've got some comments, and I've also had some residents reach out to me and asking, which you've already answered, why it needed to be changed. I had a couple of residents reach out to me. One of them says, just wondering why after so many years, the night needs to be changed. It seems to work for most of the board members, and people are aware of the date, and it has worked. This resident has lived in the community for over 35 years. And then I had another one, was asking, was it personal or was it community driven that it needed to change, and was just wondering, letting me know that as Secretary Sloan said, city councils on Monday, the city holds a lot of their workshops on Tuesday, the community holds meetings on Tuesdays. We've been on Wednesday, almost all 65 years we've been here, school boards on Thursday. As you said, nobody wants to hold a meeting on Friday, Saturday and Sundays are out. So that was just, I just wanted to convey the messages from them, and I agree with them, so that's where I stand.
Right. I mean, most of what's been said, it'd be very difficult to find another day. I will share with you, I should be at work right now. My schedule is, I work till 7:30. My employer, when I changed employers a couple of years ago, I had told them, can you accommodate this? And if they had said no, I had to make a decision. So I do understand where you're coming from, but it gets very difficult with everything else. It's kind of set up in the community. Everybody's kind of, like Secretary Sloan said, most of the smaller organizations don't do everything on Tuesdays, maybe Thursdays, because it won't conflict with city council part or whatever it might be. So with that, that is it.
I would have put like a 7 o'clock start make a difference on a Wednesday.
I mean, it might help a little bit, but it's not the, at the end of the day, it's not something that I wouldn't change an hour just for half hour.
That hour was, at one time, it was set for the longest time, because Guy Anderson was the board of directors, and he was also the coach for the varsity baseball team. And so we started the meeting at 7 o'clock. But when he retired from the board, we voted to start at 6:30. So that is something that is a possibility. I don't know if everyone here would be happy with that. An hour later, or, I mean, a half hour later.
But we also want to be conscious of residents that they want to come to the meeting. 7:30 starts pushing to us getting out here. 9:30, 10. I don't know. It's older out there, so. All right. There's no more discussion. Yes. Yeah, well, it's on the agenda for us to make a decision on it. It's item G2. Anybody care to make a motion?
Make a motion. I move the board of directors choose not to change the regular board meeting to be held on the third Wednesday of the month at 6:30 p.m.
Motion by Vice Chair Danzel,
I'll second
second by Secretary Sloan. Roll call vote.
Vice Chair Council, would you mind repeating the motion, please?
Yes, ma'am. I move the board of directors not to change the regular board meetings to be held on the third Wednesday of each month at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Director Mattis,
No.
Director Langen,
No.
Secretary Sloan,
it. Aye.
Vice Chair Danzel,
Aye.
Chair Yearwood.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to G3.
Thank you. Item G3 is to discuss and take action on a proposal to add an invocation to the Board of Directors meetings. This is per a request from Director Langen at the February 15th Board of Directors meeting, and I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, so I am a pastor. I believe that is important to start the meeting off that we're going to be affecting thousands of people with an invocation. Definitely is inclusive of all religions. And so I was just curious if we could have one.
All right. Is there any public comments for that one?
I see no requests.
All right, we'll start down at the end of the dice again. Director Mattis.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because we look at the federal, state, cities, they all have implications in there. I don't see an issue with it.
Secretary Sloan.
You mentioned a type of invocation that, what did you say?
I just said an invocation to be inclusive to all religions.
How would that work? I'm just curious I'm curious how that would, well, I got that or no. Rosa, I'm curious how that would work. Because it's something that I think might be difficult. I respect everyone's, beliefs and their religions, and I just think that might be adding a little bit of a maintenance for the district to maintain this type of who does it, where we get the person, and the public's part of it. Something that we've never done. I know that a lot of other agencies don't do it. Also, I was talking to some people today about it. So there's just I'm on the fence on this one.
So once again, I have emails from constituents in my area. One says, also, it continues from the first part, but also I think adding an invocation to the meeting will divide people and is not part of the meeting, not part of our park board business. That's one. And then the other one, let me see if I can pull it up. This resident says, I do not support adding invocation, prayer, or moment of silence to the CRPD Board of Directors meeting. These meetings are held to discuss and conduct park business, and each member should come prepared to do so. Anyone needing a prayer or moment of silence that the opportunity has an opportunity prior to the meeting. It is critical we include everyone, allowing them to be comfortable to participate and have their voice heard without fear of retaliation, public, I don't know that word, bias or judgment of the individual has no place in these meetings. So that's from my constituents. And that's what they've asked me to read to you. So that's where we're gonna go from that.
All right, you said it would be all inclusive of all religions.
Mhm.
My concern is there's people that don't believe in religions. They're atheist, whatever you want to call them. So that's a concern to me. That people who are basically going to feel that we're doing something, that they're being, forced to be here for something in a sense. I would agree if somebody wanted to have a prayer moment sign prior to the meeting starting, that they're more than willing, can do that. I myself, personally, I don't think they should be held in public. I know it's not against the law. I just think that everybody and whatever their faith is, that's theirs, and I just don't feel public type meetings like this are an appropriate place. So that's all I have. Oh, sorry. Would anybody care to make a motion on this item?
And make a motion to approve, to add the invocation to the board, to the board of directors.
We have, I guess can I ask a question before we ask? Because we didn't talk about how this would look. How would we do this? Who would be responsible for doing that? So how is that something that we're going to cross that bridge or? Okay, so do we do that before we do the second? Or,
Danny, what was your suggestion on how to complete that?
So my suggestion was, I would be more than happy to reach out to different churches, or I know Shelley Blanchard coordinates that for the city, and so contacting her and seeing if there was a way for me to work on that.
So am I allowed to ask a question? Sure, that was all this. Okay. So if somebody comes to you who is, I don't know, a Satanist, a pagan, whatever it might be, are they going to be allowed?
Yes.
Okay. So nobody would, okay. So anybody could come do the invocation.
I know this might seem kind of silly what I'm about to say, but there is, you can look it up on the news there. It could be kind of, but there was a spaghetti monster, and they gave the city council once, and so if they want to come do it, yes, definitely. It's not that's why I made sure I said it's.
Yeah. Well, I think with the city itself takes time for it, but somebody else is actually responsible. It's not a city employee or staff member. It's Shelley, right?
Yes.
So how would it be, you said it would be kind of like universal prayer or something like that, but I don't think you're not talking about.
Well, it wouldn't be a universal prayer, it'd be one person.
Right,
And
but
it would be,
I know that the most people that get are of a certain faith in that, there's a lot of churches in Rancho, and we have a lot of leaders and spiritual leaders here in Rancho. But there's a lot of other religions that were not represented here in Rancho, and it might be real difficult to find someone to come up that month and come here and just do a prayer. And I think if that's the case, we'll be not discriminating, but we'll be making it a little bit harder for the people that are not of that faith that we are able to get all the time.
Knowing that
this can be a sensitive subject. I did a lot of prep, and so I'm prepared to answer all the questions that the board members would have on most of the legal aspects of this, some practical, but one of the things that concerned me with the question and answer about can a pagan or an atheist or a non-believer, can they come and also speak? And in my opinion, that there would be a fundamental problem with that. And it's that, remember that when the Supreme Court in 1983 with the March case, and then probably the ones that some of you have heard about, the 2014 case, when they emphasized that this is an exception to the Establishment Clause. So this is really an exception where we're allowed to do that. Agencies are allowed to do that. And there's ways to capitalize on it. But with the issue of the atheists and the pagan, the whole fundamental premise of this is that it's to appeal to a higher God, not a specific God. It's your religious doctrine, and you're appealing to a greater authority. That's the whole premise of this. So if we're going to take a position that you're going to allow those who actually are non-believers, what are they going to talk about? And then, not that we censor speech, we don't want to get into policing and managing and censoring prayer. That's one thing that we learned from the Supreme Court case and the Town of Greece case. We don't want to censor, we don't manage it. That government entanglement you can't have them. So if you think we're going to allow atheists or people who are non-believers, what are they going to say? And ultimately, my concern is that you turn what began to be an exception to the Establishment Clause, and it's been validated by the courts, the prayer, respecting all denominations, and now you have an audience in which they want equal attention to come in, and again, what are they going to say? We're non-believers that know his higher God. So it defeats the whole concept of the reason, and I can read to you the reason the Supreme Court stuck by this and authorized this. And that kind of an arrangement, well, just to cut to the chase, that's not going to work. So the segment of the population who are non-believers and they want to get up and challenge that, it's going to turn this into something far beyond what the Supreme Court ever intended with this. I just wanted to address that one point. So offer some thoughts to the board about that.
Okay, so we have a motion, correct? No, it doesn't have to be a motion though. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Director Mattis?
Aye.
Director Langen?
Aye.
Secretary Sloan?
No.
Vice Chair Danzel?
No.
Chair Yearwood?
No.
The motion fails.
Right, we are now going to move on to item H, Board of Director items.
Thank you. Item H1A is for the chairperson to directly appoint 2 directors to the ad hoc committee for park and facility naming. This is a non-voting item. In October of last year, there was an amendment to the board policies, which does allow the chairperson to make direct ad hoc appointments without majority vote of the board. I just wanted to note that this appointment will take place every 2 years, or this is a 2-year appointment. And I've attached in your packet selected slides from the presentation from planning staff in October, and also the application to name a park or facility after a person for some context for what this ad hoc committee would be doing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chair Yearwood.
All right, thank you. I didn't need to ask this, is there any real discussion, or do I just say what I wish to? Okay. All right, logistics, well, from what I read, I mean, the naming committee is gonna, how about you?
Is everyone familiar with the naming committee at this point? We're okay.
I am going to appoint myself and Vice Chair Danzel to this ad hoc committee. So we're moving on to H2.
Thank you. Yes, item H2A is the training report. There was none over the last period. And item B is the community activities report and comments.
I guess we will, we're doing board reports, right? I guess we'll start down at the end of the day with Director Maddox.
Oh, thank you. So on March 4th, went to the Rancho Cordova Little League opening day. The weather worked out great. It was nice. And thank you again, Jill. The tree was removed. All the obstacles are out of the way. The kids had a great day. We got lucky. We got the ceremony in. I don't think they had to cancel games until about 1 o'clock. So that was really good. And the season is doing great. A lot of kids out there playing, so that was really good to see, especially the last couple of years with COVID, now coming out of COVID. And then I was late today because I came from Supervisor Desmond was having a community quarterly meeting for our area, and it just happened to be in Gold River, and it was on homelessness and what their plan is and what they're doing with the specific area. And it was like, I couldn't believe the turnout. It was close to 200 people, and Desmond had to start about 5 minutes late just so he can get everybody in there. So it was incredible. So I got to hear a little bit of his, speech, and didn't get a chance to hear much of the comments, but I have a friend that's there, so they're recording it so we can get that.
Where did they have the meeting for that?
I was at GRDC, the elementary school there. Yeah, it was, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, yeah, they just put out about, I think, 50 chairs, and they ran out of pamphlets and materials they printed to bring. It was incredible.
Can I interject with that? He is also hosting one here at City Hall tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank you for representing that, Mark.
It was really good.
All right. Move on to Director Lynn.
Yeah, so March 2nd was supposed to be opening day for Rosemont Little League. But unfortunately, with all the rain and all the weather going on right now, it was canceled. So, which, to be honest, I was thankful as a coach, because I was like, I don't want to be with a whole bunch of little kids complaining about how cold wet they are walking down the street. So, but it is going to be going on this Saturday, which I am excited about to get the season up and going and start playing games. And then the Rosemont Community Association meeting, I was really just got some more information on the community pools project and the butterfly garden. And I know there might have been some confusion on some stuff, but I am thankful for the staff here just for working with me and helping me understand what was going on and getting it all cleared up. So thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Goodness, Secretary Sloan, you're up.
You got quite a few on my list. On February 28th, I attended the BRCA Community Association meeting, the library. And in that meeting, there was they had written a letter to the district concerning about the opportunity sites about the life plan. And they were kind of confused with what's eligible for what that actually meant. So they had written a letter and it was addressed to them, came back to them, the reasons why, and there was still some unclarity. So I think they've already figured that out, and the district has rewritten another response to it, just to get more of the guidelines figured out, what that meant in the optimized plan looking to the future. On their egg hunt's gonna be April 8th, which is usually the date this district has there.
Like 2 Saturdays before, right?
No, this is the.
You haven't been doing the Saturday before Christmas.
We have not. Well, since COVID. last couple of years. But it was the two that we. But theirs is on April 8th. You're all welcome. Come up and 800 eggs for like 30 kids. It's a way to sell it. I love it. Plus golden eggs. Then you get the basket. On March 1st, I was proud to attend the CPRS Awards banquet where Carol Kraus was given a distinguished award for her service in the swimming industry. That was fantastic. On March 4th, I also attended the Rancho Cordova Library, and we just lucked out. You know, it was all your Rosemonts was canceled, another one where, you know, everyone had to put theirs on the back burner, but we were able to pull it off. It was actually there will be a story in the grapevine. It was written by Cassie, the president, and photographs by Rick Sloan. And we have the unveiling of the Dennis Lamantia dedication in the underneath the scoreboard. And they even gave a plaque, pretty good sized plaque with the back, half of that dedication to Dennis to his son, Daniel Lamantia. So that was nice. Then it started raining. So on March 7th, I attended the Rancho Cordova Athletic Association. And just to give you a heads up, September 9th is the Hall of Fame event. I'll put that on your calendar. It's always a great event to see the caliber of people who come out of this wonderful, you know, city and the school of Rancho Cordova and go on and do bigger and better things after graduation. And, but they basically went over their 2023 goals and so they have to have all these things in by a certain time. I think that's coming up like the end of this month. They have to have all this stuff. And on March 11th, I had planned, this was last Saturday, and that was the day where Rosemont got rained out. I had planned to do a walkthrough to Lincoln Village Community Park with the some representatives of the Intesa Village. Mainly because at the first meeting I went there, they talked about things they'd like to see in the park and things that, you know, their wish list, and then some of it was talked about some equipment that was aging, and I just wanted to see what they were talking about. They had some area, the back part of the park that's kind of a berm that goes down, and the visibility is not that great, so I don't know if that used to be a parking lot back there. It's gonna grow down. But so that was canceled, and it's going to be this Saturday, the 18th. But so then I attended the March 9th meeting for the Intesa Village HOA meeting. And always productive. Like it's I guess once you show up like you know, once I'm there, they look at me as if I can just bring everything they've ever wanted to their parks and add things that they, you know, they think, you know, that they want. And I try to be more realistic of what we can actually do. And what I thought was interesting is that, and I'm really proud of the district stepping forward and getting the paperwork so that Cesar, to the chair there, could have a ghost bike at Alstrom Park in honor of what's his name? The gentleman Timothy Farrell that was attacked by the homeless person running down his infidel. He succumbed to his injuries. They're having a ride in peace on Sunday, March 19th. They're meeting at 2 p.m. at KP Marketplace, or if you wanted to ride your bike for a little while, I think it's actually going to be like a 3 or 4 mile ride, 3 mile ride. All the way through down Tiffinville to the park, I believe. And they wanted other things, but I don't think I have to go into everything they want. The next thing was today, Director Danzel, Vice Chair Danzel and I were honored to, we met at the Capitol for the CRPD board meeting. We had it at across the street from the Capitol. But we met with legislative members, some representatives, some consultants, and we said we broke into 3 groups, and we're able to educate some of these lawmakers about the special districts and what we offer. And I thought that was, I think we actually we accomplished a lot. Of course, we'll know later on. There's a lot of heads nodding, yeah. But we'll see how much sunk in. But there's so much happening in our district, in California, with the Parks and Rec and the open spaces, and how we've become a essential part of the community because of the open spaces during the pandemic. We were able to, get out there and use the parks. So no, they're trying to figure out ways to get piggyback on other endeavors to get money allocated towards us. And one of them had to do with runoffs for when we have flooding and stuff. They were talking about maybe combining some of our open spaces for that to alleviate the swelling of water down in more populated areas. I'm going to let Director Vice Chair Danzel go on. They can discuss more in detail of some of the stuff. We also talked about the conference.
Thank you, Secretary Sloan. I've got 2 items. The CPRS District 2 Awards Banquet and Installation Dinner. Secretary Sloan talked about the award that was given. I want to talk about the installation dinner. That board is actually made up of quite a few people, and we were honored to have 3 representatives that are on that board, which is great for us because it gets our name out there. Nina is one of them, Susie at our aquatic center, and then Evan is our student section representative. And congratulations to all of you. That's because let's see, how do I want to say this? It's a big step. I mean, years ago, that wasn't someplace we sat. We didn't sit at that table. We've had, Paula Hagen was honored by that community, and which is a great thing, but a lot of other people have. But for our voice of Cordova Recreation Park District to have 3 members on that is an honor. And we know that you guys are gonna, obviously keep us in mind when you're making decisions at that level. So that is my first one. And my second one is today's meeting at CRPD. Lots happened. We did meet with legislators. We did break into 3 groups. I got to meet with an assemblywoman this morning that she started her career as a Parks and Rec commissioner. So to sit down with somebody like that and understands Parks and Rec, granted it was as a commissioner, not as an independent special district, but she understands what Parks and Rec do, and she was asking us, how can she help us? What are some of the new sports coming to the communities? And I was asked directly, well, what's going on, in Cordova Recreation Park District? What are the big sports? And it's cricket, it's pickleball, it's tonk, it's the newer sports to America, in a sense. We did talk about swimming pools and trying to have her work with the school districts too, because schools get different funding than we do, but work on these joint use where schools and parks can put together funding together to build pools for the community, because there's a lot of communities that don't have pools. The city of McFarland lost their 50-year-old pool due to the fact of 50-year-old pool, and guess what? In 2023, they had some problems with it, started breaking down. They're like, well, let's fix it. They had a contractor go in there and, oh wait, it's got asbestos in it. So for 50 years, you had people in that community swimming in this pool, and now they're out. So how do we find, where's the money going to come for that? That community does not have that kind of money to just, build a pool. I know what it costs us to build a pool. So the area of McFarland Parks and Rec does not have that. I follow them. I watch some of their events, and events we hold here in the Sacramento area are 3 or 4 times higher in cost because we can charge. And City of McFarland, they had a public wrestling tournament for the kids, and they were charging $5 entry fees just to have kids participate. The community doesn't have a lot of money, so things like that. So they were talking, McFarland School District, is there a way that because they can get funding, is there a way that 2 organizations work together, create a joint use? What I heard today, though, is that a lot of school districts don't like joint uses with park districts. And I'm thinking ours has a great relationship with our park district. I was very shocked to hear that. But so the ask was there, how do we make this happen? Would CRPD support, that legislation if it were to come through? Would we help support, schools to get money to help build, pools or other sports fields, things like that we can do joint uses on and help push joint uses through schools and special districts. That was one. There is a Brown Act. There's Assembly Bill 817, which Assemblymember Pachenko, she is a freshman Assembly member, but she is go-getting. She is pushing a Brown Act that could help us. So we all know that Brown Act changed last February, I guess last month, but this would be for non-decision making bodies. They would still be able to have Zoom meetings, which is something that is actually a bill that CRPD it's our bill. She's taking it on. She's running with it. It is co-sponsored. They are looking for more co-sponsors for it. CSBA, I believe the ask just isn't there yet. We haven't asked them yet to join on that, but it is coming. We sat and just gave them a fact sheet about what CRPD is and what we do for the communities. We had lunch today, and at lunch during our regular board meeting, we did have other speakers come in. Let me see if I can pull up some of these names. We had the Deputy Director of Preparedness and Prevention for California, the Governor's Office, so Cal OES, came, talked about some things. There's some grants that we can work on with her related to earthquakes, things that we can put into play. So because we do deal with children and families, that if an earthquake were to happen, there's an app, there's something that we can work with them on and get, grant funding to be able to have this app that all our families that are invited to things, if there were an earthquake, it gives you the best response time possible. I mean, we all know earthquakes happen when they happen, but it is just a little bit different there. And it's grant money, and it helps if it's a chance to help protect our community, then I am all for it. We met with the interim division chief for CalPERS. Ms. White, I do have some information for you from him today on the guidelines of understanding CalPERS pensions, because it's all above my head. This is something you deal with on a day-to-day. He gave us some charts, things like that I know you will understand, and talked about how, the 2 banks, how that affected CalPERS and, what that did. And it did affect CalPERS, but in 0.0008%. So it didn't really, because I guess CalPERS did carry the stock for Silicon Valley Bank, but it didn't he said nobody will even notice the amount of money that shifted because of that. So he wasn't real worried about that, but I do have that one for you after this meeting. And then Cedric Mitchell from the Director of the Office of Grants and Local Assistance, so OGALS, Department of Parks and Recreation. We need to get with this gentleman, and there are some grants that he believes that every park district should be looking for, working for, and be creative, he said. So we like free money, we like even 50% money. I know that I've been here long enough, so if we have the opportunity, it's something we need to work on. You talk to all our members about it, but you know, did talk to him for a second afterwards. Talk to, like I said, we did talk to a assembly member today, did talk to the legislative director for the head of the Senate this afternoon, just real quick, gave him some updates about who we are, and he was quite interested in, or at least, you know, in his job, he seemed quite interested. Because he had a lot on his plate. Everybody, today was a big day at the Capitol, so we caught people in between meetings. So we got, you know, 10, 15 minutes with them because it was, okay, I'm running from one committee meeting. I've got time to say hi, shake hands, listen to you for a minute, and head to a different meeting. So, but it was a very productive thing. It's the first time CRPD has done it in quite a few years, and plan on doing it more. As Secretary Sloan said, we did talk about in our regular meeting today, talk about the conference, what's going on there. And then the slate of officers for CRPD's board, that will be mailed to us coming up because that needs to be returned by May 10th, which actually happens to be our meeting date. So currently, the slate of officers, president-elect would be myself. Nick Scout from Valley Wide would be up for secretary. Michael Seaman, Jesus Perez would be 2-year director, odd years. And then Colin Miller from Arden Park locally would be up for the 1-year administrative position. And that's what it says right now. That is the end of my report. Sure.
Well, that's quite a report. Thank you. I just have one thing to report on. Last Thursday, March 9th, I attended the recreation module of the leadership branch Cordova, which was put on by CRPD out of Hagen, for the part I would say. I think we all know who the best class was. 7 was great until 8 came. So, but anyway, so it was a little smaller class than I'm used to. Remember how many were ours, Matt? Like 20 something?
I think like 84 people, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly 84. But it was a nice presentation by staff on everybody kind of took a turn in the section of it. I ain't gonna lie, I love the equipment room at the pool. I was like, damn, I'm sorry, darn, this is nice. Wow, look at this equipment. So I even suggested we should put some kind of video together to show people what it takes to keep the pool clean and pretty and all that good stuff. So I don't remember what was the name of the gentleman? Was it Jamie? Okay, I did remember. Did a nice job of answering everyone's questions and showing folks all the pool equipment. So I want to be there sometime to do that backwash, wash out or whatever. So, but it was very. So, sorry, that's the one part I took away. That's part of it. Oh, I've seen the pool. I jumped in it when it was 50 degrees or whatever. Show me the equipment room. Very nice. So that is all I have. So
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I wanted to ask something. I get my boards. I thought we had a final board discussion, but my other job that I do, that we have that for our board. One thing I had a meeting today, Patrick invited me to it. So there was the Ranch Cordova Little League, Folsom Cordova School District, and us. They were invited there to talk about, because Ranch Cordova Little League is trying to get a grant in. And there was some language in there back and forth. So what I was thinking about this weekend, so my question is for the district, is how does somebody report an issue at a park?
We have a couple of different ways. We have our customer service email. There's a phone number, our main phone number, and it has just a list of different prompts for you to prompt and leave a message. Or we do now have an online work order system. And so if you go to our website on the main page, it has instructions on how you would download that onto your phone, and then you can put a work order in if there's an issue at any of the parks during the day. And then when the staff gets in on Monday, they would be able to retrieve that.
Okay, good, because I was wondering, so it is on the homepage.
Correct.
Okay, good, because that's,
Shelby, is it on the home, it's on the homepage?
because I couldn't find it this weekend. Is it new?
It is not.
Okay. We put it on the top of the homepage, like a reports or something, like a link on top, so that way where's it at?
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see
Okay.
and make sure that we put it in a place that you can see it, especially if you're on your phone.
Yeah,
Because remember, you have the desktop, view, and then the phone view is going to be a little bit different. So we'll take some time to look at the phone view and see if it's somewhere we can. Make
okay,
it
so
more
it's,
visible.
I see it here now on the iPad. Speaking, I just could not find it.
We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And then, so that's good that you have the ticketing system, because I believe it, and Patrick, thank you for showing the picture of the signs, and I believe the QR code would be a lot easier, because I think citizens will report something right now. They pull out their phone, everybody's got it, they'll scan it, take a picture, they're done with it. And I'm guilty of it. There was things that I saw at my park that, like, oh, when I get home, I'm gonna write to this, but I would forget. And it would take a couple times for me to remember. So I think having these signs there, and also too, so you have a reporting system, so you keep track of when they come in. Okay, and what's done. Is there a way, can we direct staff then, for our board packets, can we have those reports bi-monthly in our packets, so we can kind of see what the issues are, how they're resolved?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that and see
Okay.
what types of reports we can run.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a brand new system for us.
Yeah.
And so we're still trying to navigate how the system works. And so, yeah, we'll take a look and see if there's a clean report that we're able to produce.
yeah, because I think it'd be great, because I know like CRPD really wants to be that independent agency. So I think being able to have this reporting system and also report back to the reportee, I think that would be a nice bonus, because, you report something to the county, report to the city, you never hear it back, you barely do. And I think it would be a good customer service to respond back to let them know, because if that one person can tell 10, and that just exemplifies and just goes on and on, so that just gets more of the park district community, the community working together on there.
And actually, our system does do that.
Okay, good.
And so when a work order comes in and then the staff completes it, it shoots out an email to let that person know that we've completed that.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. Thank you. And then, because I think mainly the big idea is being able to collect data on that, not on the people, but just the issues. And I don't know how you guys want to itemize those, separate those, graffiti, homelessness, or, stuff that's left on the fields or on parks and damage, stuff like that. But I think that would be good to have data, so that would have a track record down the road for grants and other benefits and possibilities for funding as well too.
Absolutely, and that's one of the big reasons why we got this system, is
Okay.
because we were unable to really track any kind of the history of the work orders that were coming in, and staff was working really hard. Then we really didn't have a report that told us, hey, we're spending 20% of our time on graffiti, we're spending 30% of our time on picking up, trash in the parks that is left over from, maybe the unhoused. So yeah, again, we've just kind of started with this, it's called Brightly. We've started with this system and we're navigating through, but that is one of the big reasons why I came to this board and basically asked for permission to get some funding to implement this new work order system, so that we were able to track all of those, sort of, not just work orders, but is there going to be a trend? Is there a trend? Is something happening in a park? Just like we talked about today, at our meeting, is there a trend, say at Alstrom? And so these reports will help us, identify that and maybe, kind of, put some different measures in place for that park. Maybe it's more trash cans, maybe it's, you know, something different. So I appreciate the feedback, and that's definitely something that this system we're able to do. We just have to continue to work at it and figure out the best way to run those reports that are going to be helpful and not take up too much time, because we don't want to run reports and then not do anything with them. And so we're just collecting all the data, getting people used to putting the information into the system and then being able to spit it out so that we can then let not only our internal staff, but like you mentioned as well, let the community know as well.
Okay, good. And then is there a way too, so once you have your data, is there a way in a budget that it could be itemized for issues? That way we have numbers and figures too of down the road.
It does have that component, but you have to input that data along with that. So we have to do some kind of cost allocation plan along with that. That's not our first step. Like, our first step is to collect the issues, see what's going on. How do we collect those data? And then maybe later on attach dollars to it. But as of right now, no. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item I think you're right. Thank you.
Thank you. Item I1 is the district-wide monthly progress report for March, and I'll turn it over to General Manager Larkin.
Clerk Jones. Some updates from the past month. The planning for the tree planting event at Williamson Park. Staff are doing a great job on that April 1st event. The Sacramento Tree Foundation will be providing trees, and an Arbor Day proclamation will be given to CRPD from the city of Rancho Cordova. So that event starts at 9 a.m. on April 1st. There will be a ceremonial start to this event. So if you are able to attend, we greatly appreciate your attendance at that particular tree planting event. We also, I just wanted to acknowledge, like Brian Danzel, the CPRS District 2 Awards and Board installation. I wanted to congratulate Nina Seiner for the 2023-24 incoming Vice President for CPRS District 2. She's been formerly the Secretary of that board, and this Vice President role leads into the President, the lead of that district. So congratulations, Nina. I'm a former president of District 2, so it's a lot of work, but it's great that you're representing CRPD, and I hope you learn a lot, and then I hope you lead courageously. Also, kudos to Susie Patterson, who is going to be the aquatic section representative for this. And then Evan Stork is a part-time employee with us, and he is representing the student section on this board of directors, which is fantastic. Thank you for that. And also, of course, congratulations to Caleb Krause, who is the volunteer for the Cordova Blue Marlin Swim Team Parent Board, who won the CPRS District 2 Champion of the Community Award. Very proud moment. And thank you for attending that special moment for our staff and our community volunteer. I met with Assembly Member Josh Hoover along with CSDA Legislative Representative Dane Watley, and we discussed some projects that are going on in the district, in particular our optimized plan and where we're going with that, along with discussing, seeing if we can get some support for the center property and looking to change some of the deed language to give us more opportunity to, you know, use that property in a more of options to use it other than what it currently is restricting us to do. So, and also of course build a positive relation, as well as if they have any extra money floating around in the assembly, that we have several needs here at the district that I would be more than happy to accept any kind or generous donations coming from the assembly. So very nice guy. I am assuming that you guys will eventually meet him if you haven't already. So I encourage you to build that relationship with them as well. We hosted that Budget and Finance Committee, and then we also co-facilitated the Cordova Leadership, Rancho Cordova Leadership Program that is hosted by the Chamber. The LAFCO SDAC nominations, Danny and Director Langen and Director Mattis were nominated and their applications have been submitted. So cross your fingers that you get on that LAFCO board. I know you're anxiously waiting for the decision. So we will let you know once that's decided. We have a PMRID oversight committee scheduled for March 27th. We do have some openings coming up in the next term. And so we will be sending out recruitments for those appointments. The appointments, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there are 2 in Rancho Cordova and 1 in Gold River that's up for appointments. So the district representative for Golden River, if you know someone who would like to get involved, engaged in our community and our CRPD, you can refer them over to us and we'd be happy to share an application, as well as anyone really on the board that represents those particular areas of our district. We are in full-blown recruitment, as you can imagine, for our part-time summer staff positions. And also we had some full-time recruitments, and we are so happy. Laura is just jumping for joy over this one. We have a associate planner that we have offered and they've accepted. Her name is Andrea, not Andrea, Andrea. And she will start March 27th. She comes from the city of Richmond. She is fantastic and we're very excited for her to start and help with the workload.
Spell the same.
Correct. Yes, so that should be a twister. So now we all have an evil twin. I have a junior Patrick too. So Andrea will have Andrea. So something goes wrong, blame Andrea, not Andrea. Anyway, moving on. We also have 2 recruitments open for Recreation Supervisor 2, one focusing on youth development, the other mostly on aquatics and leisure contract classes. The offer was made for the aquatics person and they accepted. And so we're looking forward to them starting in April, I believe. And then the development offer was just made earlier this week. So we're waiting to hear back on how this person is gladly going to accept this position because we're the most amazing place to work. Right? Yes. So super excited about that and moving us forward. We have several projects that are taking place in the development world, as always. One in particular, there was a meeting that we had about the American River Levee project, which was brought to your attention a couple months back. Staff met with the Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency, otherwise known as SAFCA, and also the United States Army Corps of Engineers. They will be needing Larchmont Community Park for a staging area to help fix the levees in that area. The project won't start until late 2024, most likely 2025 early. So we appreciate the notice, and this is great that we're way ahead of it. They are going to plan on doing community outreach about this project, especially in that particular area. And we will look to displace the soccer groups that are using that field to another location in the district when the time comes. So greatly appreciate partners that give us a lot of lead time to make sure we're communicating to our public about what's going on there. We also have Gold Rush Park, which is the first Rio del Oro neighborhood park. This is a 5.1 acre neighborhood turnkey park. And they are going out to bid in early spring with construction anticipated in the spring, which is exciting. Heron Landing Park Binocular Viewing Station. The Eagle Scout that did that fundraising has completed the fundraising and we have matched those funds, purchased the equipment, the binoculars, and have they arrived yet?
Yes.
They arrived. And so we should be installing them soon. And then we'll do a nice little celebration with the family and the Eagle Scout that helped get that amenity at the Heron Landing Park, which will be overseeing the wetlands up there. And I'm sure it's full with water at this point. So good timing. Also, Danny had mentioned, or Director Langen had mentioned, the Community Polls project at the Rosemont Community Park. The volunteer project application has been approved, and the RCF, the Rosemont Community Foundation, is working with us to, with the grant that they received through SMUD, do the replanting of the plants in that area, as well as the art pole project, which has been presented to the board. We're excited. They've offered CRPD staff a pole for us to decorate. So get all your artists, abilities out there, we might go out there and help them do a CRPD poll. So excited about that project, as I'm sure Rosemont is as well. We're really excited to be able to work with them on that. And I'm going to turn it over to Jill. I don't want to spoil all of her great news here on recreation and parks, but Jill.
Class 14 was the best class, just so you guys know the leadership. Okay, Cordova Golf Course. Obviously the rain is still falling and we were closed yesterday, but back open today. But on February 16th, the Cordova Golf Course partnered with United Cerebral Palsy, UCP of Sacramento, to host an adaptive, all-inclusive golf clinic for UCP junior clients. And so our two PGA professionals, Jack Romaine and Denise Foss, volunteered their time to teach these young children of varying abilities, the basics of the game. And it was just absolutely amazing. We are just so happy that we were able to host them at the golf course. UCP is interested in doing some additional programs at the golf course, and then some additional programs throughout our district in the future if it continues to go well at the golf course. So thanks to Chase Michelotti and the staff over at the golf course for making this happen. I'm super excited that we're bringing these types of programs to our community. In recreation, still plugging away at all of the programs that we offer in youth and teen programs. We kicked off our TAG meeting, our Teen Adventure Group kickoff meeting on February the 9th. So as you recall, we did receive a grant from the state. And so what we're doing now is activating the group that's going to help us implement some of the outdoor adventures that we're going to offer for the next year. And so that group met over at the Neil Orchard Senior Activity Center. There were 9 teenagers and some, parents there. And then since that February 9th meeting, we've also had an additional meeting, because we're going to have meetings each month. And we had another, another 5 come to that meeting. Some of them were the same TAG members, but we're trying to activate this TAG group to be able to help us, activate this program. But the programs are listed in our recreation guide, and we're getting ready to kick some of those programs off here in the next couple of weeks. On February 11th, the Cordova Career Workshop and Job Fair was held in collaboration with the Folsom Cordova Community Partnership. It was to host a career workshop for high school students. So what they did is the summer employment recruitment event consisted of teens learning about resumes and interviews, as well as all the job opportunities CRPD has available. So the teens left with a fully crafted resume and the experience of participating in a mock interview. There were 8 participants that attended, and at the end of the event, staff helped interested teens submit applications to CRPD on our online job opportunities portal, and 6 students who attended applied for lifeguard positions. So super excited about that. And then we're looking forward to future teen workshops on March 18th and April 29th. Again, what a great collaboration. Students are there, we're teaching them the skill set, and then we're like, hey, want to apply for a job? We'll help you right now. So it's a win-win in my book. So thanks to staff for pulling that together. It's a great collaboration. Aquatics, the pool is open. I mentioned last month that we had the pool open for the high school to start their season. Now the community is in the pool enjoying some of our spring swim season as well. So again, the high school is in there. They practice every afternoon. And then we have swim clinics as well. We had 71 swimmers that are currently registered for clinics and in our regular swim clinics, and 11 for our synchronized swimming, and our swim team registration is going well as well. So excited to get the season kicked off in the aquatics. We just need the weather to cooperate and get a little bit warmer for us. But the pool is at 80 degrees. So if you're in the pool now, it's not like when we jumped in January, for sure. All right, in parks, we have a lot going on in parks. Again, we had another storm come through yesterday that you all know about. Luckily, though, this time we only had 7 trees that went down throughout our parks. So that's good news. We're still working on the first couple of storms, but that's okay. We're going to add this on to it. Again, thanks to Jim and his staff who just continue to just figure it out every time a storm blows through. So great job to that staff. But 7 trees down, we've called Davey, we'll set up some time for them to come out. I know there's still some stumps out there as well in some of our parks. And some of those larger parks, or those larger stumps, excuse me, like the one that we have at Alstrom, Davey Tree's trying to figure out how to remove that. They don't actually right now have that type of equipment to remove such a large stump. And so Jim and his staff are working with Davey Tree, so eventually it will be removed. I just can't give you a time frame yet. That's why we definitely put the fence around that one, because it could be a while before we're able to remove that. But as soon as, Davey Tree figures it out, they'll be out there to get it removed. But there's a couple of them throughout our parks that we're having issues with because the stumps are really too big. The trees that went down this last storm, we should be okay. They should be able to remove those as soon as the wet ground dries up a little bit. We'll get them out in the next couple of weeks. Okay. As you can see through parks, there's lots of park projects going on. These are the types of projects that we do in the winter, sort of a catch-up time for us. We were able to help out at Alstrom Park for their ball field improvements for the RCLL before they started their season. So what staff did was they repaired, replaced, and painted the bleachers, the foul poles, the dugouts, and then at the backstop boards, we also replaced some of the boards and then put some new rubber backstop on there so that when the ball gets past the catcher, it doesn't shoot off of the boards. It basically will absorb a little bit of it for the catcher. So I want to thank staff for that last minute request from RCLL to get those projects done. It looks really great over at Alstrom. And then the last thing is hopefully you've all received your spring summer 2023 recreation guide. It's been published and mailed out. So hopefully that has hit your mailbox. If not, we do have the recreation guide at all of our community centers, and it's also online. So if you need to go online, it's there for you to view. I also included in your board packet a 2023 calendar of events for the year. And so there's a lot of events going on around our community. These are the events that CRPD hosts, as well as the CCC. The Mermaid Convention is in there as well, that's being hosted at the Cordova Community Pool for the 2nd year in a row. And then I also included some of the City of Rancho Cordova events that they have going on. We'll update this as we know of new events that may come to the community, but for now, this is our best efforts to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what's happening this year. The only date that we're unsure of and that we're still working through is our 65th celebration. We put a placeholder there for September 8th, and we're pretty sure it's going to happen on that day, but as soon as we have a final decision, we'll make sure to let you know so you can hold that date so you can help celebrate our 65th anniversary at the Cordova Community Pool. And then the last page talks about the special event invitation. The Creek Week cleanup unfortunately needed to be postponed, so we will make that up at a further date, probably sometime in May. We had the St. Patrick's Day celebration over at NOSAC today. It went very well. Corned beef and cabbage and all the fun traditional Matt Goodell's favorite holiday celebration. We also had to cancel our all-staff spring wellness potluck that was supposed to happen tomorrow. We do have several individuals, unfortunately, that are out of the office due to COVID. And so we decided to wait until everyone was available to be able to do that wellness potluck. Patrick already mentioned the Williamson Park tree planting event on April 1st. We hope to see you all there at 9 a.m. We have hopping and hunting the same day over at the Hagen Community Park on Saturday, April 1st from 11 to 1 p.m. The Brecca Easter egg hunt that Secretary Salone mentioned on Saturday, April 8th. And then we have Earth Day and Senior Resource Fair at Lincoln Village Community Park on Saturday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
I must say I have not told my daughter yet about the Mermaid Convention because she will ask me every day when that is. So we'll definitely be there.
So that particular event, we're very excited about because we work with Visit Rancho Cordova and they try to bring in hotel stays. It's a really quite a draw actually. And so this will be our second year. So being on that Visit Rancho Cordova board, we're working closely with them to bring in tourism into Rancho Cordova. And this is one of those opportunities where we're working with them to get some hotel stays, get some people into this area so they can enjoy it. And yes, it's a very unique opportunity and it should be interesting, but I would agree, don't tell her until it's close to the time, or just surprise her maybe. So.
That's a very interesting event. I went last year. All right, I guess we'll move on to J, informational items.
Thank you. Item J1 is the articles, correspondence, and public outreach. We have the nomination paperwork for LAFCO for Directors Lincoln and Mattis. And we have the Spring Summer 2023 Recreation Guide, 2 newsletters. And item J2 is your calendar.
All right, thank you. I guess we'll move on to item K, closed session.
Thank you. Before I announce the closed session item, I just want to let the public on the call know that the way that we process this is we end the Zoom call for all attendees and then we start the meeting again when closed session adjourns. So we have one item in closed session this evening. It's a liability claim pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9. The claimant is Tammy Cookman. And the agency claimed against is the Cordova Recreation and Park District.
All right, we'll adjourn to closed session at 8:06. All right, we're turning from closed session. I can't read my watch with that. 8:38. And the item K1. The board voted unanimously to reject the claim. All right. Looks like we're moving on to item N, adjournment. So the next regular meeting with the Board of Directors of the Cordova Recreation and Park District on Wednesday, April 19, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. I guess we're adjourning at, I'll say 8:39.